There are angels watching over the North Dakota State Penitentiary in Bismarck and the Ward County Jail in Minot. They are earthly messengers, known as the Folding Angels, a group of women faithfully dedicated to gathering each month at a church in Minot, North Dakota, where they create handmade greeting cards. With a cut and fold of the paper here, stamp of ink there, and careful shades inside the lines or depths of color beyond, Folding Angels craft and design. Their works of art are made with care and compassion.
Hey, Gail, we just got over the 45,000 cards that we've done in the last 10 and a half years.
How many?
35,000 that we've gotten done. Thanks to you guys. There's 530 here that I count right now.
Rhonda Schmidkunz started this divine project in 2009. Since then, the Folding Angels have designed greeting cards every month and donated them to the prison and jail so incarcerated men can have something to send to their loved ones.
Lines on your cake. That is crystal effects.
Crystal effects. It just looks so nice.
Oh, thank you.
I think most of them are going to young men to probably men in their 40s and 50s with young kids. You know, those are the ones that break your heart, is that they don't have a dad around. I credit my daughter and son-in-law every day for how they've been able to. Our grandsons weren't born when Zach, the only way they've ever known their Uncle Zach is in prison.
This mission is personal for Rhonda. She has been inside the walls of the Ward County Jail and the state pen many times over the past 11 years to visit her son, Zach. Prison is the last place Rhonda and her husband Gail thought their son would be at the age of 21, a young man Rhonda and others describe as a giant teddy bear. Zach was convicted in 2004 in the shooting death of his friend Alexis Walter. She was 19.
Even when we called his sister to tell him what it looked like had happened, she was in Minneapolis at the time, and she's like, he has no temper. Nobody could believe it. November of 2003, our son was being treated for depression with Zoloft, an antidepressant. He was in the first month of it. He had been on it for 3 weeks. We didn't know much, my husband and I didn't know much about antidepressants, and didn't realize we needed to be watching behaviors more.
Zach had abruptly stopped taking the medication, not knowing the negative side effects that could cause. Rhonda says within a few days, Zach began experiencing anxiety, mania, and rage, and he reached out for help.
He had a friend come over who had dealt with depression in the past, and he ended up murdering her in our basement. He's been incarcerated since that date. He's missed a lot. We've grown a lot as a family. You know, we send pictures and things like that. When we bought a new house, or bought a different house after the flood of Minot. So he kind of knows where we live. He works at Rough Rider Industry out there and has regretted immensely what happened. This was a friend of his. It's unfortunately just a very, very sad situation that this young lady lost her life due to a prescription drug. Since he's been out at the state pen, there are a number of people that are out there under the same circumstances, that they've been on a prescribed drug and maybe hadn't been treated correctly. Family maybe didn't know what all they should do. Unfortunately, a lot of people have suffered and lost lives or permanently had other things happen, suicide and homicide are some of them.
The Schmidkunz family leaned on their faith and church family. Rhonda calls the members of their congregation angels with skin, who prayed for them, delivered meals to them, and sent cards with words of love and support for them. They sent cards to Zach, too.
We talked about how God works in mysterious ways, and here he was, the guards that were reading his mail were so convicted of God's love, just from reading what these people, a lot who knew Zach, but some who didn't even know Zach, and the words of encouragement that they were in the love and understanding and forgiveness. And sorry. They were overwhelming. We would, at 5 o'clock when we'd come home from work, we'd go to the mailbox, and that's the first thing we'd do every night is open up the mail and just be uplifted ourselves.
Then a card that would spark inspiration showed up in the mail for Rhonda.
I got the same Mother's Day card 2 years in a row from him, and I'm like, wait, I'm a card maker and I have a bunch of card making friends. Let's see if we can get this through. And it's empty.
Every month, the Folding Angels create 130 cards for the Ward County Jail and at least 500 for the state pen. It's a multitude of good tidings for people paying a price for crime. Men who are often hated, rejected, and forgotten.
Before this all happened, did you kind of have a certain assumption maybe of people in the state pen?
Oh yeah, oh for sure. Yeah, it wasn't a good assumption either. They all deserve to be there. And I've met a lot of young people, a lot of old people down there that need a second chance. One of the cards that we got from Ward County Jail in the last year said, thank you so much. We know we've made mistakes. We know. We're trying to move on from that, and thank you for believing in us. That meant a lot to me. But yeah, my assumption was if you haven't had any trouble with the law, life is good. You know, it's definitely changed.
The inmates know where the cards come from. Each one is marked with the Folding Angels' own stamp. Rhonda says it's a symbol of pride and represents the loving hands that made it.
Fairly simple cards, but we try and make them as beautiful and nice as we can. We had a gal that came one time and she says, oh, well, it's just for guys in prison. It's not going to matter that there's a smudge. And I say, yeah, it does matter. We try and fix the smudge if we can. We found a lot of ways that we can fix things, and sometimes something just ends up in the garbage. But usually somebody always has an idea, and that's the awesome part of this group is that you hold up a card that doesn't look right, and you hold it up and say, hey, what does this need? And somebody says, oh, wait, I've got this, or oh, let's try that, or let's, you know, and they find a way to make it work.
No, I tell them our story and they willingly come once and then they get addicted, and right? Right, Shawnee?
The friendships that we've developed we've been through the death of a spouse of one gal, the death of a child of one of the gals, a divorce, a very, very disturbing divorce. A couple of the gals have had children that have been at the state pen or the Ward County Jail. One mom didn't know where her son was for a while, and she got a card stamped on the back that said created by the Folding Angels, and so she said she knew where her son was. When we're making birthday cards, we try and make some that are kind of snarky and kind of funny, like a 20-year-old kid would send to his mom or his sister or something like that and stuff.
Getting your own cards back then?
I have. Yeah. What was really funny is last Mother's Day, I got a card from Zach, and I was like, this is really, and I'm the one that sorts the cards. I'm the one that decides where they go and everything else. And I'm like, I don't remember, but we're very proud of our work, and we have stamped on each of the back of our cards, handmade by the Folding Angels or created by the Folding Angels or something. It had our mark on it, so I knew it. I had packed it, and I was like, where did this card come from? And I even asked a couple of the gals, I said, who made this card? Because I don't recognize it. Here, it turned out it was one I had made, and I completely forgotten that I had made it. Perfect. It was, and stuff. Inmates have to pay for their own phone time, and it's not like you used to buy a phone card at Walmart and use it. You know, their cell phones are taken away, so they don't have that. But they can't just. The jail system has its own phone card system, so they're higher price, and some of these guys just can't afford it. So the only way they have to keep in touch with their family, their children, a lot of them are from out of state, is maybe a card that's been made by some little old lady sitting in a church one Saturday making cards.